Night Stalker, Dragon Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grom Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, Lead Skill Hunter. A Death Dealer, a Life Stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
And welcome to episode 264 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on the Twitters.
And I'm Bendak from eyethebeast.com and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right, today is Monday, November 13th, 2017, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. And you can participate in the live chat room where Ali Sonder is MIA today because we didn't coordinate this very well. And we're also on Discord. We're trying a whole bunch of different things today. So we're kind of recording this on Discord. We've got eventually we'll integrate with the WHU and probably allow people to ask questions and participate in chat live through there. So we're trying some new things, but we're also, of course, broadcasting on Twitch, and then we'll post all this out to the Hunting Party Podcast website when all is said and done. But it has been forever and a day since we've done the last podcast. I mean, we've got more than a 1 month gap, I think, but plenty of stuff to talk about. But it's like riding a bicycle, I guess, hopefully. So how are you guys doing? Bendak, Delirium, Synth? It's been a long time since we've all gotten together in the same virtual room. How are things going?
Me and Synth were just hanging out a couple days ago. I don't know where the rest of y'all were, but there were drinks aplenty.
Can you believe that was like 2 weeks ago?
Oh, was it?
I was to say it's already been a couple weeks, right? I know. I wished I was probably doing what you were doing, Bendak, and that was just firing up the virtual ticket and checking out the panels and everything going on. So how was BlizzCon for those of you, for Synth and Delirium, since you were both there? You had the big WHU meetup again this year. How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. There's a lot of people were, MIA, so to speak. We were missing Roger this year. I think his first year, and the entire time I've been coming, that Roger Brown wasn't around, which is kind of sad because I look forward to seeing him every year. But a few new faces, and it was a pretty good time. We had fidget spinners this year.
Oh my gosh!
I saw the picture of that. I was so jealous. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Got us Warcraft Hunters Union fidget spinners. I had never even held a fidget spinner before, and I was pretty impressed with them. So.
You were more than pretty impressed. You had, what was it, 5 or 6 on one hand, trying to spin them all at the same time. Oh, that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I had them when I was a kid, although it was a ruler and a number 2 pencil.
Oh, I'd forgotten about those. Yeah, the rulers with the dots in the middle, and it was perfectly
with the holes
sized.
in the middle. Yeah, the little plastic rulers. Yeah,
and you could spin them, and you tried to spin them as much as you could, and oh god. So anyone else a huge fan of the cinematic that we got spoiled with this year?
Woo!
So
that's all Delirium has been talking about, and Sylvanas this, Sylvanas that. That's all he remembers from it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she was so amazing, and she turned into a banshee. I'm pretty sure that was the devs' way of telling us that all hunters were going to get a cooldown that turns us into banshees, or at least marksmanship hunters. I'm calling it right now. That's the new marksmanship cooldown, or at least a talent that changes true aim or whatever we get rapid fire into a weird banshee form.
Well, I think this was the earliest we've ever gotten a cinematic, right? I don't think we've ever had a cinematic at the launch, or am I mistaken on that?
I think you're right. I don't think we've had one at the same time they announced it.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're right. I think they mentioned that this was probably the earliest that they've been able to give us the expansion cinematic, and I don't know when exactly they launched those. Usually I think they're probably pretty close to when they're getting ready to launch the expansion, but this one they had it right out of the gate. I mean, they usually have like the teaser sort of, not the full-blown CGI cinematic, but they usually had the video with all the features and things like that. That's pretty typical of what they do with those announcements.
Yeah, I mean, they had 3 trailers this year. The Classic WoW, the features trailer, and the cinematic.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And we'll definitely want to talk about Classic WoW tonight as well. But I mean, we'll stick with the battle for Azeroth first. I mean, excited about that? Horde versus Alliance. Does it seem like a good thing, or coming out of Legion?
Meh.
Yeah,
I
I
thought the
mean,
same kind of thing.
Hey, you guys, remember that one time when it looked like the Alliance was about to pull ahead, but then Sylvanas turned into a Banshee? That was amazing.
that was the best. Yes.
Sorry, what were you wanting to talk about? Horde versus Alliance, yeah. Here we go again.
but what were you saying, Bendak?
No, I was just saying the same kind of thing. Just kind of like meh. Like it's cool and all, but it's not like I don't know. I guess I was expecting some big new baddie or something like that, But I don't know. That might come later in the expansion. Like we're all
Yeah.
busy fighting each other, and then we're not paying attention, and all of a sudden something happens or something like that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's kind of the point here that they're actually going for. It's a decent storytelling tactic, I suppose. But it'll turn out that while we were bickering, somebody was gaining power.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're kind of done with the Burning Legion for a bit. It seems like that's what we've had a couple of expansions dedicated to that. So I'm ready to move on to something else. Getting tired of fighting Kill Jaden and Archimond and all those guys.
Yeah, we've had enough green for a while.
Yeah. Enough with the Fel. I guess so. Now, what are we going to get? Blue? Is that the new sort of bleeding color with this Azerite that's sort of pouring out of Azeroth herself?
Was there a color for that? I didn't even notice. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know. I thought it was blue for some reason. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
like it's blue and gold. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
maybe Alliance. So Azeroth favors the Alliance. You can tell right there. Aren't those the Alliance colors right there? The blue and gold.
Gross.
But the cinematic was great. I was just rewatching it right before we came on air, and it was it's probably as good a cinematic as I can remember. I mean, they're all good. It's kind of hard to pick one over the other, I guess. But it was nice to see some of the original races battling it out, the Tauren and the Orcs, and it was cool to see Greymane as a Worgen.
So here's the question. So if the cinematic was this early, do you guys think that Battle for Azeroth is closer than we might imagine it to be?
No. It seems super undeveloped to me. I don't know if you got to play it much, but yeah,
Okay,
barely existent.
Let's talk about our demos, the time at the demo stations. Because did you play both the dungeon and the leveling, or did you just do one?
Yeah, I got to go through a few times.
Okay, yeah, I only did the leveling, and it seemed very. So let's talk about what we first noticed. Number one, Trank Shot.
Yay, Trank Shot's back.
Oh my gosh, how I've missed it. So I don't know about you, but I clearly picked Beast Mastery on on the servers, and let's see here. Besides, the artifact weapon being gone and Hattie being gone, I guess that was the first major.
Yeah, so that question. I
Sort of
assume that
short.
the artifact weapon was gone, and no dual pets for Beast Mastery anymore.
Right.
Yeah. I did not see Hattie, and frankly, I'm Hattie's AI has been a little iffy for me anyway. So especially in Mythic Pluses where you're trying to tab target and AOE, Hattie keeps coming back every time your target dies.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, I do miss Hattie, but on the other hand, back to one pet. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Bendak? Are you looking forward to going to one pet, or do you like the idea of the two pets?
I'm not like looking forward to it, but I'm not. I'll get over it. I mean, I'm just used to having the two pets now, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Like right now, Hattie's mostly cosmetic, right? Like it adds damage, but it's just like a flashier way of adding more damage, which they will add elsewhere. But I think it might be cool if there was some way they could keep a double pet, like a talent or something like that,
Yeah, I like the idea because it just sort of distinguished Beast Mastery a little bit more from the other specs. It was just a nice thing that they had done this time around. And then what else are we losing from the artifact weapon too? Right, there's some other abilities and traits and things. So I guess all that's going away now with Battle for Azeroth. Because I mean, they said no major class overhauls is what one of the statements I thought I heard coming out of BlizzCon, which seemed kind of strange to me because I didn't know how they could do it without overhauling.
Right, but they also
these
said they were
classes.
going to kind of pick through each artifact weapon and see what they wanted to keep and what they wanted to make talents. So I don't think they were saying there'd be no changes. They were just saying not as big as, for example, survival got when it became melee.
Yeah, I think if they're smart, they would take all of like the 1-point traits and at least for most of them, just bake them into the specs because it's such like a even just little things like for Beast Mastery, aspect of the cheetahs has a minute reduced cooldown and misdirect reduces pet damage, just stuff like that. Like you're gonna notice it when it's gone.
Oh, absolutely. My first thing that I noticed was the lack of a legendary. So, normally I was going to go, the talent spec, assuming that you have the kill command and killer cobras and stuff like that, and then I was like, whoa, what? I guess I'm not going that spec. So, but I guess the demo stations are not final for sure. I mean, it was a lot of stuff was not yet implemented and. We weren't even. I mean, we were 110. We weren't even 120 yet. So, I imagine there's a lot of stuff with the. What's the neck thing, or not the neck thing, but the Heart of Azeroth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Azerite?
No, the Azerite is what you infuse into the Heart of Azeroth.
Azerite power instead of artifact power.
AP. We don't even have to change our words, letters, whatever.
That's right. Just more AP, just more grinding, more AP.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that Dire Frenzy is like the baseline thing now, and Dire Beast is the talents. They basically swap places.
Yeah, I think that's a great change. It makes more sense. I don't know. I like that. Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
What other talents were on that row?
The first row?
I don't know, wherever Dire Frenzy was, or Dire Beast.
I think it's
I
the
think
same.
it was Chimera Shot, and it wasn't Stomp. It was something else.
Wait, really? Oh,
Yeah, they moved Stomp to a different tier.
obviously I wasn't paying enough attention.
And of course, all of that's just to be determined. I'm sure it won't be the same.
Yeah,
once we
they
go
moved
live.
they moved Stomp to the same tier as Stampede and Barrage. And also, apparently, Stomp works without a Dire Beast now, so your main pet just stomps instead.
Yeah, I'm
Does
sure.
it have some kind of dash feature?
I don't know. Hopefully.
So, Ollie, good news for you. I saw Aspect of the Pack as a passive buff on whenever I first logged in as a hunter, and that's a flat 10% movement speed increase without a
Is it
daze.
10 or 15?
15.
Is it 15? I thought I remembered 10, but it's been 2 weeks.
And no days effect, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
No days effect.
Also, hasn't it only been 1 week? Or am I that off? It's been 2 weeks?
Uh,
All right, so today's the 13th of November. BlizzCon was what, the 3rd and the 4th? So
Yeah, it's only been that week.
yeah,
okay,
Right.
a
week and
little
a
over a
half.
week.
Am I crazy?
No, we're just bad at math
Sure.
and dates. But yeah, so no, I just lost my train of thought here. So what we were talking about, talents.
Dire Frenzy.
Dire Frenzy,
Lack of
Stomp,
Cheetah.
Aspect of the Pack. Thank you. Yeah, no days effect.
hmm
Jeez.
So, Delirium, did you get a
Much for
chance to
riding a
try
bicycle.
Marksman?
Yeah, that's what I played.
Okay, so what were some of the major, like, is vulnerability still around?
Yeah, I mean it's all the same, just without your weapon, so it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah,
I mean, it was very, very underdone, uncooked,
yeah, that's what I felt
medium
too.
rare, even.
I mean, everything was scaled down because everything was squished. So, what were we at? Like 185 eye level?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Greens in the demo, and I mean, it's hard to judge when you're going from apples to oranges like that. You're doing what, like 1.2 million DPS here, and you're doing
Right.
10k DPS. No, not even, like 1,000 DPS. I mean, the numbers that you saw were probably around like 1,000 for hits and stuff, right?
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll be back up to 100k by the end of the expansion.
Oh, geez.
Right. Whatever comes from next after the Battle of Azeroth. They probably won't be ready for another squish right then and there. I guess that's what every other expansion, though. They find the need to do the squish now.
Yeah, I mean they just keep growing so fast. Ugh.
Well, I think wasn't this the first eye level squish that we've had?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's pretty interesting. I guess 1,000 was too big of a number for us. But
maybe. So what do they do with all the other gear? I mean, how do they?
I assume it'll work the same as last time because for the most part our gear goes up by, like right now our gear only goes up by a minimum of 5,
Mm-hmm.
and if they just change that to 1, then we'll be back to 200 instead of 1,000.
Yeah. I don't know if you got a dropped, Delirium, but I finished some of the quests, and 195 blue dropped. So it seemed like it was going up by 10 for the gear drops, but
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll go back to the same way it was. I mean, for the new content, you'll still get exponentially higher gear,
mhm.
and just for the old content gear, it'll only go down by 1 or 2. Or maybe even stay close to even with your level, which would be a novel concept.
Mhm.
Actually, I guess that could work completely for all the through 100 even, and then the most recent expansions would get higher gear scaling, but everything else would get 1 eye level per level, since they have that weird mechanic that makes you do some whatever multiplier of damage to anything that's a lower level than you are. It'll still feel about the same. Really, they should just let me do all of this. Dang it.
Well, and then they're also doing those changes to the zones, which will come prior to the battle for Azeroth.
Oh,
That'd
yeah,
be
that
nice.
would be great. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I like the way that they're doing it, right? That it's not everywhere you go scales to your level. So at least you do eventually get to outlevel some areas, which is nice and feel, like your character's grown and become all powerful and, not running through Elwyn
definitely.
Forest at level 120 and getting stomped by a little wolf coming out of the woods. But it seems like the ranges are broad enough that you can actually finish the story in each of those zones and kind of pick and choose where you want to go. Because, I mean, the way they do it, it's almost turned me off to leveling entirely, just because you can never finish anything. You just kind of trying to get from 1 to max level as fast as you can.
For me, it's definitely it's not something you do to see any story or to have fun. It's just a chore you do while you're watching Netflix and the other monitor. There's nothing really to leveling right now. So hopefully I'll go back and, I haven't seen all of the Cataclysm stories from that leveling change. So, maybe I'll go back and actually experience some of them and even read some quest text. Who knows? I mean, I'm not trying to go crazy here, but maybe I'll read some quest text.
Well, I mean, there is a mode that they introduced at BlizzCon that's going to force you to read quest text. Do you like that segue?
I did. That was nice.
So yeah, I guess. Do you want to talk about vanilla real quick, or do we want to?
Yeah, we can talk about vanilla unless there's anything. Do you want to talk real quick about before we get to that what do they call it? The allied races at all? I think that's kind of a neat thing.
Oh yeah,
that they're doing.
So who can't be hunters? How about that?
I bet you they can all be hunters.
Yeah, from what they've released, they're all hunters. But the only one I didn't see was Dark Iron Dwarves. It didn't look like they showed what races they were available on, but I might have just been missing it. But surely they'll be hunters and everybody else can be.
They also did say they're going to introduce additional sub races too, right? Or allied races, not sub races.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Ali?
Calling
welcome,
her out.
welcome. By the way, I saw her microphone go in and out, so I thought maybe you were going to say something.
I did. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. I said that the Dark Irons tamed the Red Dragon, so clearly that's for the win right there.
That'd be an interesting racial for them just for hunters. Tame Dragonkin.
That would be pretty cool. You should suggest that. They're probably not thinking about it, and that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, they do look pretty neat.
Yeah.
I guess their beards are like all glowing and like have embers in them and stuff.
And you can use them as cook fires, right?
That would be funny.
No, you just put the raw ingredients near your mouth and it cooks on the way in.
But yeah,
Well, we've got so many pets. I'm not sure we really need one more, but I'll make room for a dragon.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let us
Speaking
tame
of pets,
dragons.
there's all those dinosaurs on Zandalar.
I
Like,
saw that. They
Yeah.
all look cool. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Did you notice any changes to the stables while you're doing your little play demos? Or
I actually did click the stables. There's no additional slots.
not yet.
Not
I'm
yet.
going to be optimistic and say yet. Because didn't they say they wanted to do something like they had some grand plans, like more? There's like, instead of just giving us more slots, they wanted to do something bigger and better.
They kind of been alluding to that for like the last 5 years, so I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know what could be at this point. Just give us more slots. Problem solved.
Did you happen to notice, do we have 2 pets, or are we back to 1?
We are back to 1, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you feel about Hattie's AI. So
Yeah, it looked like Beastmaster's going to revert back to having a single pet.
Yeah, so with every class is getting like a raid buff of some kind, right? And ours is aspect of the pack, but it's cool and all. But it's like apparently the movement speed doesn't stack with like other movement speeds, so it's kind of like I don't know. I'd almost rather have the ability so that our pets had buffs again. We could choose what buff we brought.
I mean, I imagine we still have our battle res. I think that's been one of the most unique, not unique, but most helpful anyway.
Yeah, we do have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I meant the stat buffs because those are coming back now.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, the old raid buffs that the pets used to provide, that was kind of a neat feature back when we had those. Yeah,
It was really only for 2 expansions that we had them all, right?
I guess. Yeah.
Well, when did it start? Mist of Pandaria, maybe? Or I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was Mists.
Yeah, was it Mist that
Just
they
missed a
unified it
lot.
into the 8 different buffs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then we headed for Myths and then Warlords? Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. I mean, it was long enough that it, I'm going to say you get used to it, but you certainly enjoyed having those capabilities, right? You felt like you could fill in as needed with a buff if someone was missing or something was missing. You could just have it covered. It was kind of a nice little thing that we could provide.
Or just if there was a class that was dumb and you didn't want to bring.
Yeah.
So, just thinking about the other features announced for Battle for Azeroth, what do you guys think of the island adventures? Or what is that the technical title for
like
it?
It could be cool, but could be. I don't know. They haven't shown very great promise with any kind of advanced AI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hattie for one being an example. So I don't know if I have a lot of faith that they're going to come up with some great AI to really challenge us as as PvP would.
Yeah, apparently they've been working on the AI for the islands for like a year now. I think I read somewhere on Twitter that like Celestalon's actually working on that stuff along with Muffinus.
Well, it seems pretty advanced from what I saw of the What's Next panel and related. The fact that it doesn't even seem like I think the apparently there's opportunities for rare spawns and rare instances essentially, and it just sounds like it's going to be different every single time you play it, and I guess you have to adjust the strategy. And us being hunters, we're really adaptable with our CCs, working on almost everything, and we get trank shot back now, so we can get rid of enemy magic buffs and enrages and stuff. I think we have a pretty good place here.
Yeah, I don't know. There still hasn't been much sign that we'll have quite the toolkit we used to have. Maybe if they bring back distracting shot also, I don't know.
Well, growl plus kill command always takes threat off of everything, right?
I don't know what kill command is.
Yeah, Delirium wants
Well,
Banshee Scream.
I don't know if they'll be different every time. They're kind of like a Mad Lib, but I imagine that there's only so many combinations. So it's kind of like Diablo with the random rifts, I guess. I don't really know because I don't play Diablo, but I don't know. They were talking about how amazing the puzzles were, but puzzles seem kind of simple. Pick up starfish, throw starfish, kill things. But we'll see.
Yeah. I think the PvP concept might have some, I know those are some hallowed words there. The PvP concept of that might be decently appealing, because if you are on the island with 3 other members of the opposing faction, it might make things a little more challenging in terms of even trying to complete it.
Well, they're not really they're just NPCs, though. They're not really.
No, you can play it with
faction.
Well, there is a PvP version of it if you want to do that.
Mm-hmm. There's
that would be much more interesting.
Yeah, they announced it was easy, medium, hard, and then PvP was the 4th option. So you can choose to PvP, or you can choose to have, what was their example? The rogue named
Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete, that's it. So it should be interesting. I think they're making some major changes to World PvP, and the fact that you can only toggle on and off in sanctuaries, and then once you're toggled on or off, you phase in and out, and then that they're getting rid of PvP servers entirely.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, PvP servers haven't actually been a thing for a long time because of the sporadic phasing we have now. Like, you're just randomly on another server. You don't know what server you're on when you're out in the world. So, if that's going to be the case, I like the old concept, I guess, of you're on a PvP server. Mm-hmm. Somebody attacks you when you're low level, so you get on your alt that's higher level and find some buddies and then go get them. And you haven't been able to do that for a long time anyway, which is unfortunate, but at least this will be better than what we've got now.
Well, also, it'll help with the guild cohesion, because you don't just go do it yourself. You actually call in your guild to come help you gank, whoever's being a badass.
Well, I still don't think you'll be able to do that, because you'll still be sporadically on a different realm. If you group up with some of your guildmates, you'll probably be on a different realm all of a sudden. So you might not be able to find somebody.
I just think that's something that, it certainly makes sense now. And I think other MMOs have started to do similar things too, where you just sort of, if you want to go PvP, you're not on an actual PvP server per se, but you probably end up in a instance where everybody there is flagged for PvP, and you can have that experience without having to be on an entirely separate server with different people.
Yeah, and I think that's just the reality we've got to face as WoW continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller. The population just isn't enough to maintain separate servers even. And we're all just, one big sometimes server.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want the experience of, questing in Stranglethorn Vale and having someone, pop out of stealth and gank you in the middle of the road, you'll get to do that with the classic WoW servers
oh, geez.
that are coming.
So yeah, let's segue into that. Basically they announced that it's going to be a separate server, right? So you can opt into that server.
Yeah, I don't know that they've announced much of anything. Just
No, they haven't.
something's gonna happen.
They just announced that they're going to do it. I was surprised that they announced it, number one, and then I was a little bit more surprised that that's pretty much as far into it as they seem to be, which is just the announcement and the commitment to do it. But that beyond that, they hadn't really thought things through entirely about how they're going to go about implementing this.
Well, it varies depending on exactly what do you mean by a classic server. Like, we'll be able to fly at 60. Will we be
No.
able to get mounts at 20?
Mm.
Are we going to have them at 40? Are we going to have minimum range back again?
Yeah, which
Because
patch?
after all the issues
Oh, the
they
dead
went through
zone.
to take that out.
We're gonna have the dead zone again.
Yeah.
Are we going to
So-
have mana again? Oh man.
Yeah. Well, think we would have mana for sure.
Well, with all the effort that they went to take out some of the stuff like minimum range, you'd think that they'd be crazy to put it all back in.
I
But
don't know, but if people want to play vanilla, they want to play vanilla.
Yeah,
yeah, but
I don't think
what-
they should change
what defines
anything, to be
vanilla, though?
honest.
That's the thing. Because for me, it's the quests and the terrain and maybe feeding my pet and leveling my pet. I'm okay with that. But minimum range, that's just punishment for no reason, and work for them part to do it. So
Well, but we
everybody's
could.
got a different idea of what vanilla is.
I know, but if they start changing little things, then it's just gonna snowball, and eventually there's no point anymore because it's not even vanilla anymore. Like
Well-
they said they're gonna give it the authentic vanilla experience. They're just gonna probably fix the glaring things like stuff that crashed servers and stuff like that, lag problems and things like that.
I don't think it'll work then, because what they think vanilla is not what I think vanilla is.
Yeah, I also imagine a lot of the loudest voices who claim they want it are just, kind of trolling a little bit. And so I don't know if they really have a big enough crowd. How many people were playing Bendak? Do you remember on some of those private servers?
I
don't
think.
know. It was quite a bit. Like
Yeah, I thought they were up to I thought I heard like 800,000 for, was it the Nostralis? That was the one. That was the big one that got shut down. The most recent
Yeah.
one.
I mean, I imagine if they had 1 million people playing, that would be enough to make it worth the money, but that they're going to have to spend on it. But I don't know. Even at that.
I honestly think it's going to bring a lot of people back to the game, and maybe they
Mhm.
won't keep playing Classic, but they might switch to regular WoW.
Yeah.
Especially if they combine them. Like, say you pay a
Right.
subscription and you can play
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
Well, back when EverQuest did it, what happened on classic servers is that all the big raid guilds jumped on, leveled like crazy, defeated the end content, whatever it was, and claimed the titles or the glory or whatever of unlocking the next step, which in that case was how they did it, which in our case would be PC. So I don't think that's going to happen. But then they would just leave. And it took, in their case, 2, maybe 3 days. So I know back in Classic, when I was doing a speed leveling thing on a new server just to see if I could, it took me 3 weeks to get to 55. So I'd imagine we're all much better players now. So I imagine in a week we'll have people that are level 60.
The question is, do I remember how to stutter step?
I do. How do you forget something like stutter step?
I don't know if I remember how. When do I stop? How do I time it? I don't know.
You need
It's been a
auto
long
shot.
time.
The
Auto
question
shot
is,
Casper.
are they going to have
Mhm.
add-ons for classic servers so that you can?
Yes. Some of the old add-on makers have already said that they're going to bring out add-on versions like SCADA, or at
Mhm.
least some of the DPS kind of things, and DBM for classic servers.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think the only question is if for the add-ons, if they're the API for the add-ons, if it's going to be how it was back then or how it is now. If it's how it was back then, it's going to be a lot more simpler add-ons, I think. which is fine because it's not like Classic was immensely complex.
Well, of course, the best add-on back at Classic was EPing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's be
Hey, if we're
interesting
gonna
too.
do Classic, we gotta do Classic right.
Yeah,
Chuck Norris and all.
Yeah.
No item levels shown on your gear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to wonder too. I mean, which do you just go with the version that existed right before the Burning Crusade pre-patch? I mean, just give everything all at once, including like Naxxramas and everything, or would they want to kind of stagger some of that stuff and just kind of not? You don't want to release the updates in the same cadence that you did when World of Warcraft first came out, but maybe you don't want to have everything out there all at once. You and stagger some things, give you a chance to level up, progress through the content, some of those early raids, and then slowly release some other things down the line.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would release the content in the same order, but it's obviously at a faster speed.
Yeah, I think I like that idea too, right? So you could have something like the Gates of Anchorage. They're not necessarily available there for you on day one. Not that you can necessarily do that, but it's something you would bring out down the road a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the concept of just release everything, but no catch-up gear. Like, there's no way to skip anything. You've still got to put in the work. You've got to open the gates on your server. You've got to do whatever you got to do to, you've got to finish the other raids so you have a chance at the next Ramus or whatever.
Oh man,
That's what people forget about Classic and opening on Garage.
Mhm.
Everybody remembers the day that it opened. They forget we spent 2 or 3 months collecting like 1 million pieces of cloth, of each kind of cloth. It was incredible and incredibly tedious. People are gonna hate that, but no one remembers that.
Yep, got to bring it back though.
Yeah, I'm wondering if somebody gets Scareblord on the Classic servers, if it's account wide to their other 110s, 120s. That'd be kind of cool to increase the number of Scareblords out there.
Yes.
I kind of thought that too. I'm like, I wonder if you earned like the Rock Delar on there, it would give you the transmog, but I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that would take away from the people who actually did earn it.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yep.
that would be a lot of tech that they'd have to code in that probably doesn't work.
Yeah, and you wonder if this will be integrated at all with the current World of Warcraft, or is it just going to be a completely separate game that you launch? And I don't know that you would need I would hope they wouldn't make you have a separate subscription or something like that for this.
I mean, they could do
Or
it like a PTR-esque thing where it's a drop down and you select where right now you select PTR. They could add a new one.
Because I don't know that I'd want to pay anything more for this, and I'm not even sure I would. It's something that I would want to dabble in.
Well, we've already bought the game, so
Yeah,
We've bought the game multiple times over at this point. Come on.
yeah, I know. And like I said, this is something for me I'd probably like to dabble in. I can't imagine spending a lion's share of my time playing this. I'll probably experience it in the beginning, level a character, just kind of get a feel for some of those old zones and things. But there's so much quality of life changes that have occurred in the game, and a lot of them have been based on things we hated about previous versions of the game. That's why they were done. They weren't necessarily done making change for the sake of change, and a lot of that's been forgotten, and I think we'll quickly remember a lot of the things as to why we wanted certain improvements and things to happen, and why we were glad that they did happen.
I think what it's going to end up being after everything settles down is it's going to be the biggest role-playing server ever. But there won't be raiders because no one's going to have time for 60-man raiding and 5-minute paladin buffs and sitting there making water all night long. Nobody's going to want to do that. So I think it's just going to end up just being a role-play server after about 6 months.
I don't know what happened on the unlicensed servers. People raided?
yeah. I don't think it'll be a huge crowd that plays it seriously, but there'll definitely be some people that do. Yeah, I think most people just dabble in it, like during the end of an expansion, we got nothing else to do. Or
Right.
Right now,
Yeah.
for example, just waiting for the new raid. Like, why not just pop on there and play some old WoW for a bit?
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of things there that, as you say, like the Rock Delar quest. It'd be kind of cool to be able to go back and do that. That's not something I actually ever completed, so I wouldn't mind having a chance to go do that. The whole Onyxia quest line wasn't something that I ever completed, so an opportunity to go back and do things like that would be are kind of intriguing as well. And it depends. Maybe you find a group of people, because it wasn't all just about raiding back in vanilla. There was that wasn't what most people did. So, I don't know, spending a night in Blackrock Mountain, just running through that massive dungeon, spending an evening doing that might be kind of fun to do again.
Oh God. You mean getting lost in lower and upper Blackrock Spire?
Yeah, right. And just the normal 5-man dungeon, which they've now broken up into multiple parts, I think.
Oh my God. I actually got lost in there after a death. I made the stupid mistake of spirit resing. Oh God.
So things like that might be kind of fun to experience again.
I think
Temple of Atala car, anyone?
Oh, jeez.
For what were you saying, Bendak?
World PvP stuff. It's
yeah.
Like, even if you're not max level, you can still participate in vanilla. Like, you can still contribute even if you're like 30 levels below other people. It wasn't like the power gap wasn't so huge, Like a skilled level 40 player could kill a level 60 player.
Mm-hmm.
And like Hunters had so many fun little tools and stuff. Like just like sitting outside like the crossroads and like Eyes of the Beast and sending your pet in to harass lobies and stuff.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, you still, I think Men Pet back in the day was a channeled spell, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think it was converted into a heal over time in BC.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then, for Hunters, right, we'll be down to 3 pets. Is that what we'll have to go and train other pets?
Oh my gosh. You have to tame them to get the max level abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to level them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you have to level them up as well. And if you fall behind, you get a low level pet. You have to go level them up and spend all that time.
Oh God, you have to do weapon skills. Ah.
Oh yeah, weapon skills. That was the other thing I was going to mention too. Yeah, you're going to have to level up your weapons too, right? We're going to have, Hunters are going to have daggers and swords. We're going to have melee weapons that we have to.
Everything is a hunter weapon.
Might consider leveling up.
Yeah.
Even though we don't really do anything with them.
Well, no, in case you have to wing clip. You don't want to miss your wing clip.
Mm-hmm.
That was important.
I remember I had a macro and it was just wing clip, mongoose bite, and raptor strike all on the same button. And I would you just kind of like smash it and run into people and then go back at range and just rinse, repeat.
Yeah, no disengage anymore. We'll lose disengage and a few other things.
Didn't we not even get a pet until level 10?
Yeah, you have to.
So
level
everybody was
10.
raptor striking?
Yeah, you were meleeing or just, kiting things until level 10.
And that was all the way up until Kata.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you know what?
This is going to be so much fun.
It's I do appreciate that they're going to bring back basically pre-Kata World of Warcraft. I mean, that's
right. The zones, seeing the old zones, seeing 1,000 needles not filled with water.
Yeah,
kind of nice. Oberdine, Dark Shore, all in one piece. Although I'll be hard pressed to actually go and want to level there, because I remember it was just a miserable experience when the quests were inefficient and they'd send you from one end of the zone to the other.
More importantly,
whatsoever.
More importantly, things didn't sparkle back then, so you actually had to read the text.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes, yes. I forgot about that
text to see what you actually had to right click on.
That's right. You can't open up your map and see where things are.
Mm-hmm.
Things don't show up in the map. Things don't sparkle on the ground. I remember
Quest Helper.
A friend of mine just spent an evening looking for a quest item. Forget which zone it was. Feralus, maybe, right around there. It was part of that courier quest line. And I don't know, there was like a Furlbogs. I don't know what kind of creatures were. There was something leaning up against a tree.
Yeah.
And we spent like 2 hours in an evening searching for it.
Even some of the text, the quest text, it said kill these things. Well, you didn't know which ones you were supposed to kill, and some of them were named similarly, but you spent 2 hours killing them looking for a drop, and and meanwhile you're killing the wrong thing the entire time.
I still have that problem on live. But everybody.
But it's going to be a mix, right? You're going to have things like that, but then conversely, there's going to be a lot of things that you know already. Like I know where Mancrick's wife is. I'm not going to have a hard time finding her.
Are you sure?
I don't.
I'm kidding.
So things like that, people know, like the South Shore Terran Mill. I mean, that'll be a thing, but everyone knows it's a thing, right? So everyone will go seek to make it happen, and it'll just sort of seem perhaps artificial rather than organic, like it was back in the days of vanilla.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think the world PvP will be fun to, even though that's something I don't do anymore, I think it's something I would do back on a classic server. Just because the way the pace of it and everything is a lot different. I think it'd be fun we should get like a gang of hunters together and just go wreak havoc on the classic server.
Yeah, I think things like that'll be fun. There are other just annoyances too, like having to pay for your skills, making sure you have enough gold to actually train your skills. I remember early on, the early days, that was a problem.
Going back to train.
Yeah, going back to train as well.
Yeah, I remember. I was just thinking too. I remember like enchanting all my stuff with like mount speed because it let me catch up to people who are running away from me and world PvP. Put on my carrot on a stick. And then there was like a glove enchant and I think even a boot enchant. And I would just always slowly catch up to people.
Yeah, no more vellums either. You'll actually have to find an enchanter, have them physically enchant your stuff.
Didn't you have to trade it back then too? There was no do not trade part, or was that
there was a do not trade? Yeah.
I think there was a do not trade.
Okay, maybe I'm
and correct me if I'm wrong too. Some of those, I think enchanting might have been one of them. There's some others that you had to go run dungeons to get to certain trainers and things too. You had to go to like Ulduar for something related to enchanting.
I remember going to some places for engineering stuff, like the repair bot. The recipe was like down in the middle of Blackrock Depths. Go way down there, take.
Oh yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. One of those rooms there. It was just like sitting on the floor or something. You need to go and click on it. So, but I guess I'm glad they're doing it. Like, it'd be interesting to see how successful it ends up being. But I'm certainly looking forward to trying it and just to see if we can sort of go home again. I don't know.
Well, I did try and go back home to EverQuest one time, and it was not what I remembered it. I couldn't even get through the tutorial. It was so different.
No.
Well, I suppose we'll see. I'm guessing this will probably come out after Battle for Azeroth, though, right?
I would think so too. It sounds like this is a long way away. At least a year, if not two. Maybe two's a little excessive, but maybe a year and a half.
Rumor has it this is basically just one developer's kind of pet project, just like how Muffinus used to come in on the weekends and add hunter pet challenges. I don't know how true this is, but someone was telling me that it was basically just one guy who was like, hey, this would be cool, I'll just come in on my free time and see what I can get done.
Was it Jeff Kaplan? I'm kidding.
Well, apparently the original problem they had was they had trouble getting it to run on their modern infrastructure and stuff.
Oh, is that right? I was wondering about that. Yeah.
I maybe this person you're talking about, they fixed that because apparently they have a version of it running right now. It's just like needs a lot of work.
Yeah,
and it's going to be an entirely separate team too, so it doesn't take away anything from regular WoW.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what their focus is going to be. I don't know how much code from the original game that they have, if that's the issue. I mean, certainly they have a lot of the art assets and things of that nature, which is usually a big...
Actually, they don't. They said that they lost all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember something about that too, but I think that was a bunch of baloney. because I mean they said they have it going now. So, and I think I don't think they're gonna like recode it from scratch or anything. They're just gonna update the parts that need updating to work with the new infrastructure and everything, right?
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause-
considering there's private servers, there's no way that they, can't recreate.
Yeah, if
Something.
people without access to the real original stuff can do it, I'm sure they can.
And then it becomes, what do they want to do with it, right? I assume, the thought is, once they get it out there,
Yeah, what's
will
the
they
end game?
will they fix? And this is the thing. So I mean, how do you? Does it go out there with all the bugs that existed? Let's just assume that they did, patch whatever 1.2. What is the last? I don't know what the last one is, but do you attempt to fix bugs and things that are there that need to be fixed, or do you leave them in there because they were there?
Call them features
At the end of vanilla.
I think it depends on what the bug is. Like I said, if it's a game-breaking bug, fix it. But if it's not, I think it's part of the game back then.
The experience, yeah.
like all the duping bugs.
Yeah, stuff like that, or anything where people could crash servers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so fix the netcode. That's pretty much
right. Well,
what I'm hearing.
like what was the bug where you basically did the raid and you had the debuff on you and you went and killed everybody?
Oh,
went
the
back
plague?
to Ironforge, pulled out a pet or something, and it still had the thing ticking, and then it spread to other players.
Something about it was
Corrupted Blood.
Say what?
Corrupted Blood.
That's it.
From ZG.
I think it was from ZG. I can't remember where it was from. It's been so long, but that was the issue, right? It was a bug, and turned out to be really detrimental. I mean, so would you go and correct that right out of the gate, or maybe in the version that they have, it's already fixed?
It'd be
Well-
funny if they didn't fix it right off the bat and they waited till someone did it and then they fixed it like they did back in the day.
Back then, yeah.
I've already heard people that are planning to go and do that as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, so I mean, they know that people know, so I imagine they'll be ahead of the curve on some of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah, but Hakar to Orgrimmar or Stormwind or whatever that was, that's kind of a feature.
What, kiting?
Kazakh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember exactly where it was because I never did it, but you're supposed to be able to kite him for like a super long way. And,
Blast lands to Stormwind.
yeah. So you don't want to fix that because that would be epic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
Yeah, and like things like that would be right. And then unless the problem is too many people know about it or know how to do it, and then every week, every few days, it's an occurrence to the point where it's disruptive. I don't know how possible. That's probably unlikely, but those are the kind of things you sort of wonder about. What would be different this time around, now that people are a lot more knowledgeable about things than what they were before.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things too, like the Night Elf Death March, as it was. Like if you wanted to go quest over in the Ironforge area, meet some friends,
If you want
you had to trundle through the wetlands, and you were like level 10 or 12, and everything there was in there like in the 20s. I mean, it was just, I remember doing that, and that was just like a death march. Even if it didn't matter, you could stay to the road, but they would just, all the crocolists and things, and spiders, they would just smell blood, and they would aggro you from so far away because you were such a low level.
Well, I think that's part of it. It was kind of the world was a lot more dangerous.
It was. I'm not saying they should fix something like that. That's not something that needs to be fixed. That's just an experience. I remember that. I don't know if I need to go back and relive that part of it.
Well, I mean, if you want to quest on Teldrassil, I suppose you'll have to pull up the vanilla servers.
Yes, apparently.
Man, that's brutal. Can't believe they're burning it down.
I know.
Well, to be fair, it's been corrupted since literally the first Night Elf spawned in. That's one of the very first quests you get, is that they've got imps that are infesting the tree.
I say let it burn.
Delirium channeling his inner Sylvanas there.
It wasn't Sylvanas, it was Jaina. Jaina did it. She was trying to convince Anduin to go to war.
It was an inside job. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Hmm.
Was
You
it
heard
made
it here first.
was it
or
rocket
possibly-
fuel in it too? Oh, jeez. All right.
Jaina's being controlled by a Void Lord, as we all know.
We'll have
Well,
to
if
wait
you want to
and
get into
see.
that kind of a theory, a lot
Uh-oh.
of people have made deals with the Void over the years, starting with Odin for one. And I think everyone would really like to be able to kick that guy's ass a little time. And Sylvanas died. Jaina's boyfriend is in the Void. So that's where you go when you die, when you're apparently. Because both Arthas and Sylvanas said that when they died, that's where they went, into the Void.
Yeah, but Sylvanas is awesome.
She's
So
totally
it doesn't
awesome.
count.
But if Jaina wants to save her boyfriend, which she did like a lot of crying and wrath about that, that's
Mhm.
where he is. She just needs to talk to Illyria. Coming soon
Well,
for Here's the Storm, Void Arthas.
Well, we're coming up on an hour here. Call it for today. And
Yeah,
then
there
we'll
is this whole new raid coming out, but we can talk about that later. It's not
Yeah, it would
important.
be good. Well, that
Let's
comes
talk
out
more about Classic
on
WoW.
Yeah, November 28th.
Yeah.
I believe is when they're releasing that. So yeah, we'll get to that next time, and hopefully we won't do
Another 2 months. Bro.
won't be another month and a half before we come back. So yeah, we should get to the next raid on the next show. That sounds like a plan. So all right. Well, on that note, what?
Before we do that, I just want to say, why is Blizzard World not a real life thing? Because that would be incredible.
I saw that. I was you for the new map for Overwatch. Yes,
I don't
it
even
did
know
look like
why
a
it's a
fun
map.
place.
That should just like make that. They've
That should
got
be
a
your new
knockoff in
outro,
China.
Ollie.
But yeah, Blizzard World. Well, maybe we'll add that just to World of Warcraft. To the Dark Moon Fair will get its own version of Blizzard World.
Coming to VR near you.
All right. Well, on that note, you have been listening to episode 264 of the Hunting Party podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
All right. Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. And we have all these links available in the show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
And stay thirsty, my friends. And remember to drink your dark brew lager, which doesn't exist in vanilla WoW. So you know what? I'm out. I'm not playing it. I'm done.
Siempre prestado la emoción de los abajo.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
I'm going to need a new catchphrase.
It's got to be, why isn't there a Blizzard World in real life?
Dark Lady, watch over you.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top a meter Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Anubarak, Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Sapphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archivon, Amamon, Koromon, and Algalon. The faction champions, the death toll rolling on and on. Garvale, Executus, Chromagus, and Charixus. Muldur will kill this. We won't stop, it'll kill our thoughts.
All the lights,